Hey guys, let's put a pin in this because I do believe we do have Nitro.
Are we in the building?
With us? Are you kidding me? Muscles and Mayhem, an unauthorized story of American Gladiators. Dan Nitro Clark is with us. Oh my gosh, what a thrill this is! Nitro, how you doing, my friend?
Yo, what's going on, my
baby.
boys? How you doing, Ryan? How you doing, Braylon? And hey, I just have to say one thing. Thank you, Detroit, for Matthew Stafford, from the Los Angeles Rams fans. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Nitro, man. It's great to have you on the show. Like, these guys know. I talked about both documentaries. I only watched one of them, though, yours, and I'm excited to have you on the show because American Gladiators is part of my childhood, so it's going to be fun.
Did you just call me old? Part of your childhood?
No, I definitely did not call you old. Definitely did not call you old.
Hey Nitro,
Because you know we had that football special where we had Charles White and a bunch of other football players come on, and we didn't give him the leather, but we gave him the pounding of a joust stick. I can see if I can arrange it, Brandon.
Hey, look, man, I watched Two Scoops Berry beat you guys up, so I'm just saying I'm ready. I'm ready. I told you, man, this is my childhood, man.
Hey Nitro, you mentioned the Rams. Didn't this start it all, really, when you got cut by the Rams? You're a football player.
Yeah, well, it wasn't quite Braylon's category. We were the same thing. I went to San Jose State University. Oh, I could hit. I went to San Jose State University, got picked up by the Rams for a minute, got cut, and I met a guy named Jim Starr there who became Laser, who became the fastest of friends. We were out of money looking for something to do, so what did we do? We went to Hollywood. And I guess the rest is Gladiator history.
Hey, Dan, I want to start here, man. Before we talk about the documentary, just how much fun were the 80s? Like, how much fun were the 80s, man?
Well, it was in the 90s.
The late, I meant the late, early 90s is what I meant.
Yeah, the 90s. The 90s were a blast. You know, gas was 90 cents a gallon. The McRib had just started at the drive-through. It was a simpler time, you know, where where phones just made calls. It wasn't all this other stuff, and it was a great time to be in America, like it is now. And it was, like I said, a simpler time, a time when you could go down Hollywood Boulevard and you could see, you know, Stallone and Schwarzenegger. I remember I was at this famous club called Roxbury. It doesn't exist anymore. It only exists in the youth's mind as a movie, Night at the Roxbury. But I was actually one of those old people who was there. And I remember one night I was in there, and I was with a guy named Olden Polanese who played for the Pistons for a minute.
He did play for the Pistons.
And he was with, good dude. And him and I were hanging out, and because I think he was at the Clippers at that time. And we walk into the Roxbury, we're standing at the bar, and Olden is, I think, 7 foot. And there's a guy next to him that is taller and bigger than Odin. And I said, yo, what's up, man? And he goes, hey, meet this guy. His name is Shaquille. He's this rookie coming out of LSU. And it was Shaquille O'Neal, the only guy I've ever seen make Olden Polanese look small.
That is so funny. That's unbelievable.
Shaq.
Talking to Dan Nitro Clark, the documentary on Netflix, 5-episode series, Muscles and Mayhem, the unauthorized story of American Gladiators. And Nitro, are you, I don't want to say shocked, that's not the right word, but the demand for this series? I mean, I blew through this. Braylon blew through this. It was one of the most viewed shows on Netflix. Are you surprised at the really the appetite for this story to be told, and how many people wanted to revisit this and find out what really happened, what went down? Because this was a series. This American Gladiators is, I think, so much of the fabric of our culture in the 90s.
Well, I think surprise isn't the right word. I'm grateful that so many people tuned in, but I wasn't surprised. Because I walk out in the world every day and I still have people come up to me, hey, aren't you that dude, Nitro from the American Gladiators?
Yeah.
So 25 years later, you know, people still remember. I don't know if it's because I was the badass on the show, the guy you love to hate. I don't know if it's because I was the only, you know, half Asian character, but it happens every single day. So I wasn't surprised. I think American Gladiators really hit the root of something. And that is that there's all these athletes out there, and I'm sure many of them are listening to your show right now, who still feel like they have that something inside where they can compete. Maybe they didn't get a shot at the NFL, Major League Baseball, hockey, and females as well. But Gladiators gave those guys who were the star of their football team who couldn't go pro a chance to come on TV and compete against these larger than life figures, the American Gladiators, and prove their worth. That competition inside of us, which I think makes us a great country, a great place, is the heartbeat of what American Gladiators was. So I'm not surprised at all. I'm very, very grateful. I have so many people, like new audience members too. I'm going to sound very young when I say this, that are slipping into my DMs on Insta.
Okay. Look at Dan out here with the DM slippers. I love it. I love it. Dan, talk about the family aspect as you guys, the Gladiators, because, you know, coming into this, obviously you brought Laser in a year later. I do believe is your boy. But how, like, did you guys know in the beginning that you guys, when you were shooting the pilot, that you guys would become such good friends? Because watching it, it seemed like you guys were friends. It seemed like you guys had each other's back. But now watching the documentary, and you guys were brothers and sisters and other things. You guys were really down. That's what it seemed like.
Well, you know, Braylon, when you're on a team, especially for 7 or 8 years, you're all a part of something special. There's a brotherhood, there's a sisterhood. And don't get me wrong, and we talk about this in Muscles of Mayhem, the docuseries on Netflix, there was a lot of internal strife, just like there is in any family. But I think looking back in retrospect, you know, we were all part of something. We wore the great colors of our country across our back. We, you know, were warriors. We were the American Gladiators. And that bond of the show was more than about a show. For us, all of these misfits from different walks of life, from different races, for us to find a place like American Gladiators was also finding a place to belong, and was also finding a family, and those memories still hold true, you know, 30 years later.
Dan, here's a hard question, but a fun one. How many injuries can you remember from American Gladiators? Because if you and I sit down and talk and compare injuries, I think me and you can have a fun conversation.
I think Laser actually had the most injuries, Braylon. You know, he had like 9 surgeries.
Ooh,
and
wow.
Some of it was from football, some of it was from Gladiators. But look, you know, there is no complaining on my part. Looking back, you said, man, I wish I'd have taken care of us a little better. I wish you wouldn't have been these guinea pigs in this mad scientist exploration. But at the time, again, 23 years old, I had like $800 left in my bank account. I was trying to feed my 2-year-old son. I would have gotten a ring with Mike Tyson for $500.
Yeah.
So, you know, I knew what I signed up for, but you know, with I had knee replacement, I had back surgery. I paid the price, but I'll tell you this, guys, I do not regret it for 1 minute.
All right, here's some fun. When I was younger and I used to watch American Gladiators, there was 2 events I was looking forward to. One of them was your best event, your favorite event. Talk about Powerball.
I don't think I could get my hands on you, man. Because you know what they say, speed kills, man. I got to get my hands on you to put the hurt on you, to put the boom on you. You know, with some of with your quicks, I don't know, man. I know when we did that against Charlie White and the other cat from USC who won the Heisman a few years before. I can't think of his name right now. God, I feel
Marcus
so bad.
Allen?
But when we. No, even before Marcus, because Marcus didn't do the show. I know Marcus pretty
Larry
well.
Zonka?
No, from USC. I think he was a president too. He was a running back. He was a president too.
Yeah.
Cunningham?
Yeah, I can't think. No, that's Patriots. Come on now.
Well, he was USC.
Anyway, Anthony. Anyway, when we had to go when we had to go tackle those guys, even though they were old compared to us, then we were like 25 and they were like 40. You know, trying to bring those guys down, man, that was rough. So, you know, I think if I could catch you and put some leather on you, I'd be okay. But I think the hard part would be catching you. As you mentioned, much to my chagrin, about 2 Scoops Barry. You know, he was, I would imagine, you know, he was a guy that could have probably played in the NFL because he had strength and he had quickness. But as you know, to get in the league, slippery when wet, especially. As you know, to get in the league, man, as you get in the league, it takes a lot more than physical ability.
Yeah.
You got to have the mental game right. And some of the guys I played with at San Jose State, they had the talent, they just didn't have the mental game, and that's what happens.
Gotcha.
Hey, Dan, just talk about what you're doing now. How do you fill your time now? I know you're a public speaker and you do podcasts and you wrote a book and things like that. But how are you filling the time?
First of all, Muscles of Mayhem on Netflix. Not only did I appear in it, but I actually came up with the idea, came up with the storyline, the through line of it, sold it to Netflix, and produced it. So that's been the last 2.5 years of my life, is getting the cast together, bringing the directors in, and getting that on the air. So now that that's done, I'm off pursuing other stuff in the TV and film market. I don't know if there's a guy named David Diaz-Infante. He went to San Jose State with me. He was an offensive lineman. He has a distinction of being the oldest rookie to get his first start in the NFL at 32 years old for the Denver Broncos. David went on to win 2 Super Bowls with him. So right now, me and my partner are doing the movie treatment on the David Diaz-Infante story, along with public speaking, and I do some coaching one-on-one for about 5 individuals, very, very high net worth individuals, helping them transform their lives and keep sharp and keep on top.
So awesome. Love that.
Dan, you just brought up, I just want to piggyback that question. How hard was it to get the cast together? Like, I know when I try to reach out to my former teammates, it takes a lot to get us in the same room, to get us in the same place because of schedules and because of reaching out to people. How hard was that process?
Well, the great thing about the documentary space is we never had to be all in the same room at one time. And it's almost better because people feel the freedom to speak and talk crap about other people if they're not there. So, for I think so many of the gladiators, Zap, Laser, Diamond, Ice, they all wanted to tell their story. ESPN did one that was more about the creator of the show, Johnny Ferraro and Dan Carr, and who stole the idea. And we didn't feel like our voice was represented. I wanted to make something that would take you back to the 90s. That would bring you right back to that moment that you remember, either playing gladiators in the backyard, thinking you could be on the show, or perhaps watching it with your dad. I wanted to take you back there with the music, with the movie, with the sound, with everything, and also get you to relive that period and get to hear the gladiator stories. The number one comment I've gotten on social, and it's odd because everybody loves the series, and I thought it would be, oh my God, I can't believe your best friend bit you in the face.
Yeah, I was waiting to ask about
that is not the number one comment. It did happen. All of a sudden you're fighting, headlock, and biting you in the face. And we know the general rule, guys, there is no biting and fighting, right?
Yeah.
There's no biting and fighting.
There's no biting and fighting. Not at all. Not, especially from 2 guys that played in the NFL together. He knew better. Last question. What that show did for me.
Wait.
Want to see the show. I'm sorry. I did.
Let me say this. So the number one comment I got from both men and women across the board, it's actually more women. And it was really quite stunning. There's an emotionally charged moment where I get vulnerable and I talk about my older brother dying in my arms when I was 10 years old and he was 12. He got into an electrical accident. And when I was a young kid, I was told that big boys don't cry. And I held that grief in until I got to be about 25 years old. And then when I was famous, I had everything I wanted in my life. I was on billboards, money, fancy cars. I found myself too many mornings being like drunk and high and kind of out of my mind. I was laying on the floor and I was weeping. And I didn't process that grief. And I since learned through that journey of raising my hand and getting therapy and saying I need help, I learned the very important distinction that big boys don't cry, but men do. And that there seems to really resonate with a lot of men and a lot of women. And they're thanking me, this old guy who used to run around in spandex with buffed out muscles, for being open and vulnerable, so it can show other young men that you can be hard as a rock, you can be tough, but you can also be soft, open, and vulnerable to, letting the world express through you.
That's
100%.
a great message, Dan. Thanks so much for the time. Really appreciate it. Such a thrill for us to talk to you. I mean, such a part of our upbringing here. So thanks so much. Again, the top series on Netflix, has been for several weeks. Muscles and Mayhem, an authorized story of American Gladiators. We invite everybody to check it out. Dan Nitro Clark on Twitter, at Dan Nitro Clark, and his website, if you want to check it out, dannitroclark.net. Nitro, thanks so much, my friend. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks,
Continued
Nitro.
success.
Appreciate it, brother.
You know, my dudes, thank you so much. And a big thanks to the best publicist in Detroit, Jason Brown, for hooking this up. Peace
Yes,
out,
sir.
guys.
There we go.
Hey, and go Lions, Jason.
Go Lions,
Lions.
baby. Love Jason Brown. Love Jason Brown. Thanks so much, Nitro. Guys, we got to get a break and come right back.